Donald Brzezinski Jr. coming to you from Isabella County, Michigan, city of Mount Pleasant. I wanted to let you guys know today about some corruption that's been going on here in Isabella County. I'm dealing with a case with the courts right now that has been brought against my father. Basically, the whole thing is fraudulent. I'll start at the beginning with you guys. I'll probably have to break this up into a few videos because my recording capability right now is very limited to a smartphone. So just stay with me, and we're going to go over some very interesting and groundbreaking stuff with you today. Basically, a brief scenario of what happened to the cops getting involved was me, my wife, and my brother were all uptown in my truck. It was a little old Ford Ranger, doing some errands. Well, on the way back, I had noticed a car in the turn lane on High Street getting ready to turn south onto Mission Street. And I was in the turn lane on Mission getting ready to turn westbound onto High Street to go home. Well, I noticed him tapping his buddy and pointing at me. Well, I didn't think nothing of it until I was looking in my mirrors, and I noticed he exited the turn lane to follow me. Well, at first he stayed a car or two behind me, and I didn't think nothing of it. I figured, he's just maybe trying to scare me or something. I didn't think too much of it. Well, we turned onto Adams Street, a little subdivision section, if you're not familiar with this area. And at which point he became very aggressive. He yelled some profanity out the windows. I don't know word for word, but I did hear some of the words like kill you, bitch, some more profanities. I became very scared at this point, and basically he had gunned his car or given it some gas. He accelerated very rapidly, and I could see him get in the lane, try to get in the lane next to me to come up on the side of me. Well, I, out of instinct, accelerated as well to try to get away from him and get home. Well, I did make it home. My parents had seen me. Obviously I didn't notice at the time that they were going to be able to see me, but their window faces Upton, which is the street where I turned onto, and it leads right to our driveway off Maxwell. My father had seen what was happening. He heard the tires squalling, engines racing, heard some screaming out of the car behind me, some provocative words, cursing. At which time he came outside. He already had his .357 Magnum revolver on his hip, legally registered, no felonies, nothing. It was all legal. And I had got out of my car. The other car pulled up and stopped right behind me in the street. And he started to reach down between the door and the driver's seat. And my father felt very threatened at this point. He felt that my life was in danger, his life was in danger, and the property was in danger. So out of self-defense, he drew up his revolver and told him to freeze and get out of the vehicle. The driver at this point made the decision to, whatever he was reaching for, stop reaching for, put his hand on the wheel, and accelerate rapidly again and take off. At which point we all thought the situation was over for the time being. We went to go back in the house, and as soon as we made it in the door, and we had noticed a police officer across the street standing on the sidewalk screaming something at us. So we went to our kitchen window and asked him, what did he need? And we assumed it was in reference to what had just happened, but he came at us treating us like criminals, yelling. I remember these words. He said, you all need to come outside, sit on the curb, put your hands on top of your head, or things are going to get mighty ugly real quick. Well, we got really nervous then, and basically told him we weren't coming outside to talk to him until, we were explained to why they were there, because he refused to tell us why he was there. He did not announce himself as a police officer. He had drawn his gun from his holster, placed it behind his back, which is a little intimidating. I mean, especially when you're not a criminal, you're not against cops, and they're treating you like you're the criminal. So we became scared, and they wanted to talk to us. Finally, they did wind up talking to us. And they strung armed my father into surrendering his firearms to him, his guns, which in fact, the only gun that was even involved in the situation was his snub nose, .357. He does have another revolver, but it was not out. It was locked away in a safe and unloaded. Well, they had said at first, well, we want you to surrender the gun. And my father's seen no reason to surrender the gun. He had not committed a crime. It is not against the law to defend yourself. As a matter of fact, we have laws that are supposed to protect us from being prosecuted for defending ourselves. And they told him, I should say threatened him or strong-armed him, and said, well, you have a choice. You either surrender them or we are going to stand here, get a search warrant, take the gun anyways, and turn your house upside down in the meantime. So my father felt it was best, because his grandchildren and his children were there, that it was best just to surrender the gun. Well, they weren't just happy with one. They said, no, you're going to surrender both of your guns and the BB gun that we had. Well, they wound up getting all of them. We got a receipt. They had told us we should have the guns back in a few days. Well, that didn't wound up happening, obviously. And 2 days later, keep in mind this happened on 7/29/13, and 2 days later, on 7/31/13, some police officers had showed up at the house, at our house, 1303 West Lyons, and said they had an arrest warrant for my father. And I really didn't understand that too much, because clearly we are the victims here, not the criminals. And they pretty much said my father was a criminal for defending me, and he shouldn't have. Well, so they arrested him. You know, we wound up bonding him out. Well, a little bit before I bonded him out, when they showed up to arrest my father, the officer that was the main officer that was there in the jacket and acting like he was in charge of everything and orchestrating what was going on that day, his name is David Sabuda. He was not present on 7/29/13, which is when the event took place. And I tried asking him what all was going on what grounds did they get this arrest warrant, could I see it? Well, he wouldn't show me the arrest warrant. He had it in his hand. And his statement to me was along the lines, his words were, I don't know exactly what happened. I wasn't here. I am just following orders from the court. I found that to be a little odd. He's delivering the warrant. He had nothing to do with it. And come to find out, when I looked at the affidavit for the warrant for the criminal complaint, David Sabuda was the complaining officer on it and the complaining witness. Well, I find that hard to digest when he wasn't there. He wasn't the one that had the gun pulled on him. He has no bearings in this whatsoever, and yet he's testifying to firsthand so-called facts, as they call it, when he wasn't even there. And that's fraud. That's perjury. He needs to be arrested for this, and I'm working on filing a criminal complaint as we speak on David Sabuda. I'm going to have to let you go for right now. I'm going to finish this segment up, and there'll be more videos here in the next 10-20 minutes. I just have very limited video capacity because I'm using a smartphone, because, you know, I'm not really used to having to do all this, but I need to spread the word of what's going on. So please tune back in. I'm going to let you know exactly what's going on here, and we haven't even got to the good stuff. This was just what happened in the beginning. We're way past this now, and I need to let you all know about the corruption and the fraud and the perjury and everything that's going on right here in Isabella County, Michigan, and everywhere, really. Not only in here, in this state, in the United States, in the world. So stay tuned, and I'll see you guys in a little while.